you have selected Chrome as your default browser, then that means that Android, it is not set by Android, it is set by you. You have set Chrome as your default browser. So whenever a request comes to open a URL, it will automatically open Chrome without asking you.
No, no, I got that. But is this the privilege of that app that it will set the browser, or I mean, just for
No, the
example,
app will not set it.
no,
It
no.
is Android.
For example, if we click a link on Facebook and we
Mhm.
use Chrome as our always use this. Suppose we will
Okay.
open another link in Discord or Instagram, then it will also open that link in that in that browser when we use
Yeah.
always set this.
Yes. If you have
So
set the browser as your default browser, every link will open in that particular browser.
yeah, so what was this telling that the link will be sent to the Android cell or subsystem, which I don't know exactly what it is, but it's not the function
The
of the
link,
app to.
no, the link will directly be sent to that other application that you select.
Okay, okay.
Android subsystem that tells that if I have this particular thing, you can have these four options. That's what it will just show the path. It will not take any data.
Okay. I got that.
All right. Okay. So let me start Android Studio, and I would request everyone to do the same. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, we are
Yeah, it's
visible.
visible.
All right. So as usual, we start with a new project. You can tap on empty activity, give it a name. I'll give it session 3. Select Kotlin and select your minimum is SDK as you prefer. And then you can start building the project.
Did you just stop sharing?
No, no. I again started it. Like, you can see my screen now, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Let me know if I can start. Like my build is finished now. So if everyone is ready, then I'll start.
I think we can start here.
All right. So okay. First of all, I'll go through some very important basics. Like the first thing you need to do after you create a project is know what your requirements are for this particular application. First thing, enable view binding. So how it's done? If you remember, I told you view binding is done in your build.gradle file, right? So where to find it? So let me just start again. In Android, we have two main folders. In the left side, just focus here on the project panel. You will have an application part and a Gradle script part, right? In the application part, you will have three folders. That is the one is resources, where all your application resources go in. In drawable, you will have your anything, your assets like image asset, any type of icon that you use in your application will go into the drawable file. Like let's say that the menu button, the three dot menu button, or the home icon of an application, the search icon of every icon will go into the drawable folder. And you create a new icon by right clicking on drawable, new vector asset, and here you can see you can just if you have a local file, then you can click on local file and you can uh, go into that. And if you use a clip art, then Android Studio has tons of clip art already preloaded for Android. You can use any of those and you can add them to your application. The layout file contains all your activity, all your applications layout files. Like by default, the activity main is already created with a hello world text view in the middle. In the MIPMAP folder, your applications icons, app icon would be there, like the icon on which you will tap to open the application. Those will be there, and it will be of many types to support. Like you can see, HDPI, MDPI, XHDPI. This is just there to support different types of screen sizes and resolutions, so that you'll have an icon for every type without it getting blurry or faded. And the last would be values, where you'll have a colors.xml file. In colors.xml file, all your applications colors are defined here using a hexa code. So, and you can also name a color here. Like for in default, we have these sample colors, like purple 200 would mean this particular value. And of course, for your application, when you want to create your own application, you can add in your own color, like in the same format. Let's just say I want to add something red, so I'll do it red, and then I'll put in the hexadecimal value. So for red, like it's RGB, right? So sorry. Okay, I turned it blue, RGB. So if I do this, and then you can see the left side, a red color is shown. But you don't always need to remember this. You can always click on the color that is shown in the left side, like here, and you can always set a custom resource. Like you can drag it, you can use any type of color that you want. It is not at all limited. And so that's how this happens. In strings.xml, all your applications string files will be there. In the last session, we learned that how to not hard code text, right? So whenever you solve that error, that string is actually added here in the strings.xml file, and its reference is used instead of the actual text. Like in here, let's in my hello world, if I want the applications, let me zoom in. If I want the application's name to be displayed here. So as you know, in the attributes, we have a hello world. You can see this, right? So instead of hello world, if I just type the application name, like it's ASJ session 3 for me, it can be different for you. But instead of like repeatedly typing the whole name and remembering it, I can save it in my strings.xml, like it's already done. Like ASJ session 3 is saved with the name of app name. So whenever I use this extract, like app name, then this will be its value. Just consider it as a variable and its value. So if here, instead of hello world, I just start typing app, it will automatically show that I have a string resource at string /app name. And if I type in enter, then you can see it shows my application's name instead of actual app. It's as the application name. So that's how strings work. And again, in the theme file, we have two files, one for the day mode and the night mode. We won't be covering night mode, but it's pretty easy to use. And once you complete the units, you will understand how to enable night mode if you want. So what XML does is that it sets the theme of your whole application in general. Like in applications, we have something called as the primary color and the secondary color and its accents. So this is how you do it. Like for me, my application's primary color is purple 500. This purple 500 again, it doesn't use the actual value. I can if I want, but it's not it's not recommended, because if you need to use that color resource in the night theme also, you again have to type in the whole hexacode. Instead, you define the code here in purple 500. I have defined it, and then I can use it anywhere. Like in color 500, I use it directly. So purple 500 would be my application's primary color. Similarly, the primary variant, we have color on primary, secondary color, everything is already set. But this is just for example. After resources, you will have your Java file, where the first file is where you'll actually do your coding. And by default, you'll have your main activity. This is where you will start. I'll get here after I finish the go through. And okay, the last part is manifest. And your manifest is nothing but contains all the data of your application. It contains all the metadata of our application. Like if I go in, it's an XML file, but as you can see, it has some. It has the value for my icon. Like what icon my application will use. What will be the label? Like the display, the text that will be shown below the application. It will have the theme for the application, and it will also contain the activity. This is one whole activity with the name of main activity, because for now I have only one activity. Today, when we'll create another activity, we'll be doing that, like another screen. So you will see that the manifest will be updated accordingly. And it is the main activity that always starts first when you create an application. And it also happens because of this particular code. As you can see, it is also a type of intent, an implicit intent called as Android Intent Category Launcher. You don't have to remember it, but just know that in whichever application you have this launcher thing saved, it will the application will start with that particular activity. All right. Once the application part is done, we now come to the Gradle part. In Gradle, you just have to know about two things that we'll always use. We have two build.gradle files. You can see. You can see it, right? Do I need to make the text bigger?
We can see.
Hello? You can see it, right?
Yeah, we can see it. We can see it.
So in build.gradle, you have two files, but these are very different files. One is the project level, and another is module level. Project level refers to your whole project, like the entirety of your application. Then if you can open it, and then you'll see these are some predefined codes. For now, you don't have to change anything here. But what we have to do is, in the module file, in the module part of our build.gradle, you'll see suppose you have a starting of your application, right? Every application starts with version 1.0. Suppose you want to update your application. Whenever you code something, you put it on Play Store, and you want to update your application. When you do that, all you have to do is change it from 1.0 to 1.0, or however you want it. So when you do that, the version accordingly changes. You have your target SDK that is 31. You have a minimum SDK of 28. These are all predefined, and you may have it different from me because I am using Android 9 as my minimum SDK. Now, in here, you'll see something called dependencies,
Yeah,
where yeah,
if we change if we want to change the SDK, so we have to rebuild the app.
you don't have to. Yes, you definitely have to rebuild, because what will happen is, suppose my application is using Android 9 as its minimum, right? So this particular application won't run on Android 8 devices. Suppose some new features have come into Android 9. So what will happen if I try to run the same feature on Android 8, like if I reduce the minimum SDK, I code it like that, it will not work, because maybe that feature was not implemented for Android 8. So then you'll have to use a workaround. You'll have to add an if condition, like if the version code, it will be done in your main Kotlin file. You can do something. We have something like that. It's called like, if my device version code is greater than let's Oreo, then use this functionality, else use the other functionality. Like that's how it will happen. But this I would prefer you not use any of this, and you not change the SDK values from here. And it may give rise to some unwanted errors. Okay, coming to the dependencies. So these are some of the predefined dependencies. But suppose we want to add more functionality to our application, we will always have to use some dependencies. Like let's say, suppose we want to use some database, some backend database for Firebase. We want to use Firebase. So we'll have to add the dependency here. Like you'll go into the Firebase documentation, you will get the dependency, you'll paste it here, then you'll sync your project, and then Firebase will be added to your project. That's how it will work. Okay, now comes the part. Okay, now that I have told you all about the navigation part, just now, the first thing I told you need to do is add the view binding feature, right? So you do it in your build.gradle module file. That is here, it's here itself. And how do you do that? There's an Android part. You'll see there's an Android section, and after there are curly braces, and it closes here. Before it's closing, you go there, and you need to type a bit of code. So what you need to do is just follow along. You need to type in build features. You don't have to type the whole thing. Auto completion will always help you. Like you see build features right here. You press enter. Remove these parentheses, and instead of it, just add some curly braces. And inside it, you can just do something called as view binding. You can see again, it's auto completing for me. I'll do view binding equals to true. That's it. And now you can see in a top, a banner has popped up saying that a sync may be necessary. So now again, I'll just press on sync now. It will again take some time to load. And now now the loading is complete. And now view binding is added to my project. This is how you add that feature of view binding to every project. And I would suggest in every project you do this thing, because it is the only recommended thing to use right now. And don't use find view by ID. It's a very traditional way. Okay, I hope everyone is clear with it, like how to enable view binding. If you're having any problem, then you can just say it right now. Just make sure you put it in the right Gradle file.
So we have where we can add the starting animation of the app, or starting like page, and the icon pop-up.
Pop-up? I didn't understand you.
Like when we open a YouTube app or something, there is a pop-up, like the icon is there, the flat screen. This is the launching animation.
Okay, you are telling me whenever you open YouTube, the red logo that comes first, it is again a screen. It is a different screen. That's it. So what happens is, it is called as a splash activity, that the splash screen of our application. it is not enabled by default. What you'll have to do is you only have main activity, right? What you need to do is you again need to create a new activity, create a new screen, and in the manifest file, if you want that page to load first, I'll teach you that. Don't worry. Like I'll give you a brief animation, a brief of how you can do it. Just remind me at the end. Okay.
Sure.
So okay. So now let's get started for the coding part, like how we can design something. And first, we'll see how to create a layout in our application. We'll go into our layout file and close all the other part. Okay, here I have my layout part. In my layout, there's only a text view in the middle and nothing else. In the top right, you can see we have three parts: the coding part, the split, and the design. For now, you can use the design tab where you just drag and drop things and you like put them in a flexible way. But as you progress, I would suggest that you use the split mode. That's what I used, and you code the things like the text view that you see here. Let me zoom in. The text view that you see here, its whole code is right here. This is the part where the text view that can be seen. You can see it has all the features, like it has a width of wrap content. It is exactly the attribute section that you had seen in the design tab. I can also enable the attribute part. You can just for starting, you can use this. Like we have a width of wrap content. You guys know what wrap content is, right? It will just wrap the height and width will be just enough to wrap whatever enough for whatever it is it has inside. Like if my app name is ASJ session 3, then it will just be big enough to fit this text. Again, you can see in the right, I have layout width and layout height at my wrap content. And that is exactly what this coding part also suggests. Along with it, I have a text attribute that is in the left side, you can see text, and the right side also you can see it is text that has my app name. It is exactly how we do it. And this is the constraint part. Before doing the constraint, I want to say that we have constraint is the root layout. Like you can see text view is inside this constraint, inside this root view. If I open my component tree, you will have a better understanding. You can see first there is a constraint layout. Below that, there is a text view, right? So how this happens is the constraint layout is the root of our root view. Like whatever we put inside the constraint layout will be part of that page. So now we have three, basically we use three types of views. We have constraint layout one, we have relative layout, and we have linear layout. These are three main part. If you want, we can use all of them. Well, like you can see in the palette, we have linear layout, and we can also use relative layout. Let me just tell you what each type of layout does, but we will be mainly working with constraint layout today because it is very easy to use once you get the hang of it, and it can be very flexible, like how you want it. However, we'll also see how linear layout works. Let me just say you for now. What linear layout will do is it will just if the whole thing is a linear layout, like instead of constraint layout, if I use linear layout, it will always ask me for an orientation, like how do you want it? Should it be vertical or should it be horizontal? If you select horizontal, then each and every item that you put inside that linear layout will be stacked beside each other. You cannot move them up or down. It will always be stacked from left to right or right to left in a horizontal direction. Similarly, if you use a vertical, then it will always be stacked on top of or below each other. Like again, there's no setting the layout. Like it won't be a very flexible way. In relative layout, what you do is you like suppose you have a button here. Like suppose I have a text view right here, and I want to use another text view. So I drag it again here. So if I drag the text view, and if I am using relative layout, then to define its position, we always have to define a position of our element in our screen. So in relative layout, we have to state how the particular new item will be related to anything. Like if I can put it on top of the first text view, put it below the first text view. So we use relative layout for that. But after all of that, the only common thing you will find is like the most used will be constraint layout, because it will be very easy to implement once you get the hang of it. And using it with I'm telling you this because using it with the code part, exactly, like you put it in split, you can see what's happening in the screen, the preview part, along with what's happening in the code. I'll do it right now in front of you. Let's say we want the first starting page. It's activity main.xml, right? So we'll be starting with the first layout of our application. So what I'll do is, in the text view, I'll first of all, I'll change the text. I'll just change the text. I'm doing it on the coding part, like so that you get a hang of it. If you want, you can also change it in the attribute part, right here, the text part. If I change it here, it will be reflected in the left side. It doesn't matter. But I'll change it in the text part. Inside double quotes, I'll just say that it is page 1. Because we'll be adding another page. So right for now, I'll put it as page 1. You can see. And it's page 1. And you can see again, in the right side also, the attribute has changed to page 1. Now, again, you can see that it shows error. Like if I hover my mouse over it, it says that hard-coded string should use @string resource. Again, it's hard-coded, right? So what you need to do is just click on this extract string resource and press OK. It will automatically create a resource value that is page 1. The value is page 1 that we used, and it is automatically giving us a recommended name called page_1. If I just tap on OK, and now if I go into my strings.xml file, you can see that page 1 is added now, and it has the value of page 1. Right. And now the error is gone. Okay. So to just use a very basic kind of layout, let me just quickly tell you how to use constraint layout. So what constraint layout will do is, constraint layout is simply will tell how to each element will have 4 attach points. Like you can see the 4 circles, that is top, bottom, the left or the start, and the right or the end part. So now you can see in the coding part, I'll be focusing on the coding part. It will be easier to understand. Layout constraint, bottom to bottom of parent. Just imagine parent as the root view. Like this constraint layout, this is the root view. So when I say the bottom to bottom of parent, what it means that this bottom anchor point of this text view will be constrained to the bottom of the parent. You can see an arrow mark here. Similarly, left to left of parent, right to right of parent, and top to top of parent. It is already predefined. Like that's how you can see all the 4 anchor points connected to the parent. We'll change it soon. So what we are going to do is we will remove this bottom part. This bottom anchor point will remove this. I'll just remove this line of code, constant bottom to bottom part. If I just remove it, you can see that something changed, right? So, okay. So can anyone explain me what suddenly changed in this thing? Can anyone just give me a brief idea of why the page 1 text went up the moment I removed
Since there was a constant given from the bottom, a default one, we removed
Yeah.
it so the image moved up.
Okay, but why did it move up? Why did it not move down?
There is nothing
Or left
entering it with the bottom.
Exactly. So you can say that, but what the answer is that you can see this anchor point now became white, blank. And now we have three, we still have three, like the left part, we have the right part, and we have the top part. So just imagine like these are magnets. Like if you remove the bottom magnet, it will, or just go to the top to which it was anchoring to. Okay, just tell me what will happen if I remove the left part. If I remove the left to left of parent, what will happen to the view?
It will go to the right.
Exactly, it will go to the right. You can see it went to the right. So that's how constant layouts can be fun, right? Once I add more views, it'll be fun. Just let me put the line again, left to left of parent. Now, how do I bring it downward? Like, can anyone suggest some ideas?
Add the bottom and remove the top.
No, I just want it to be here, like in the middle part, not fully down. I just want to
Remove the
be it
top.
here. No, what we'll do is we'll constrain it to the top part, but we'll add some margins. That's where margin comes in. Like now, I can add the code right here. Like I press the enter, I come to a new line, and I'll just type in. I'll start typing. Like autocorrect is really useful here. But if you want, you can also use that same thing in the right part. You can see here we have some constraint. Like you can see left, top, and right. We have some bit, but for the bottom part, we don't have anything. That's because I removed the bottom part, right? So either you can add your, like if I tap on the arrow button, you can see we have some values. We have some values here, and we have some values for the top, left, right. Either I can directly add the value here, or what I can do is I can add it in the code. For now, I'll not add it in the code. I'll add it from the attribute panel to have a better understanding. Now I'll just change it from 0 to let's say 96, and then I tap enter. You can see something changed again. It came a little bit downward, and what it has is now it's 96 dp. Now it has a top margin of 96 dp. You can see the code is added automatically. Margin top 96 dp. So that's how you add some margin, and I don't have to add left or right because it's already constrained to left and right equally to the parent. Okay, now let's just make this thing a little bigger to understand. I can use this, for now I'll be using the attribute panel, but for the second page, I'll be using the coding part. So here I have a text appearance. You can see a text appearance. Here, if I tap on, like, let's say, large, you can see the code changes, but for now, I'll not be using code. But again, in the preview panel, that page one changes. Similarly, I'll be using display one. Now you can see it's much bigger. Either you can use text appearance, or you can use something called as text size attribute. If you use the text size attribute, but mind it will always be fixed size. It will not be dependent on your display. So it's recommended to use text appearance, but if you don't want to use, you can always use SP part. And yes, for text size, it's always in S form of SP, like scalable pixels. Don't worry about that. That's done now. If I again tap on this attribute, I'll change the color. You can change the color of your text here. Text color, you have an attribute. Again, you can see, you can choose anything, like for anything you want. You can see on the left side, I am always getting an attribute of text color got added. Let's say I want to go with this color. You can see the color changed to some purple type. And now let's make it a bit bold. So text style, I'll enable this bold icon. So you can see now the page one looks bigger, and you can see these attributes have been added right now. You can see text appearance, text color, text style, everything has appeared. Now all that is left is how will I access this particular file? How will I? Okay, now we have done it. We'll go to that later. Now let's add a button to this thing. So to add a button, you go into palette, you drag in a button here. And now again, you can see the button has 4 constraints, right? The top, bottom, start, and the end. What I'll do is I want this button below my text view. How will you do that? It's simple. What you can do is, it's very fun. Like in the editor part, you drag it, you drag the top anchor and join the top anchor to the bottom of the to the bottom of the text view. So now you can see it got attached to the first. I'll drag the start to the parent. You can see the code is changing here. Like start to start of parent, top to bottom of text view. And if I add a constant to the right, it will come into the center. Now again, I'll give this a top margin again. So here, I'll give it, let's say 64 dp. All right. But how did it attach to the page one? Let's just see. Right here, you can see in the coding part, the top is the constant top to bottom of. Like just follow the English, top to bottom. So the top anchor point is connected to the bottom of this particular ID. Here's when ID comes in, like ID of text view. So which element, you just have to see which element has the ID of text views. You can see we have in the previous text view, we have an ID tag and it has an ID of text view. If it has an ID of text view, so that's how it got to know the name. And if I change the text view ID, like I just select it here in the coding part, and there's a TV page 1. If I change it, you can immediately see Android Studio popping me up with an error. Like this line became red, and it is saying that ID text view is not defined. That's because when I changed this from text view to TV page 1, this did not change. I'll also have to change this thing. So if I again, you can see the autocorrect is working, auto completion, and if I tap it, it's again done. So that's how you add constant. Constants are very fun to use once you get the hang of it. Next, we'll be editing this button a bit. Like you can see the text part of this button is only button. We'll change it to call something like tap me. And I'll just add the string resource. Done. So now the button is created and the first page is created. And again, this button also has some ID. You can also set the ID here, but I'll change it here, like from button to BTN. Let's say tap me. I gave it a name of tap me. Now this part is done. Now what we'll do is, let's start writing some code in the main activity. In a main activity, we'll go into the main activity part. And you'll see that we all have some predefined code. And as I said, we have something called yeah.
In the last class when we had a trouble, you gave us two layouts, constant bottom to bottom of parents. I got that.
Mm-hmm.
But what about the second, constant end to end of parent? What does that
End to end means this one. Like the end part means the right part to the end of parent, like the right part of the parent. It's exactly, you can see end to end of parent. The right part, it's constrained to the right of the parent. And the start part, the end of parent means the parent view. Like you can see all this button and text view is constrained within this root layout. That is the constraint layout. This is called the parent layout.
Okay.
It is automatically referenced as parent. So when you do it as parent, it will just go to the right of the screen. And here also one thing I forgot to mention, you have the layout width and height, right? So what if I change from wrap content to something called as a match parent? You can see it will cover the entire width of your display. So that's how this thing will work. I'll again change it. And also you can also set the width and height to some custom DP. Let's say I'll use 100 DP. So it will do it 100 DP. If I set it to 200 DP, it will set it to 200 DP. For now, I'll be using wrap content. All right, now coming to the activity. We learned something called as the activity lifecycle. Again, now you can see this is a Okay, first you can see that there is no access specifier in this class, like no public private, because by default Kotlin takes it as public, not private like Java. So this is public class, and here you have a function called as onCreate. We learned about onCreate. That is where the code actually starts executing from, right? So this is the onCreate function that's already given to us. What we'll do is, first of all, we will need to connect this activity Kotlin file with this layout file. We need to access these two things. How we'll access it? Like, we'll use the IDs, but that's where view binding will come in. View binding will help us to identify these two IDs and access these elements. We'll go into our Kotlin file, and here, first we'll initialize it. Like, we will give it an access space of private, and we use something called as late init in Kotlin, because that's a guarantee that we will be initializing this value in this code. So like it won't be null. If you don't do it, then it will show you an error. Like, you have to initialize it now. So always do this. Verb binding, and I will give it a name of binding. And now it will always ask me of a type. Now, as you can see, it is already suggesting me to use binding. You can you know how you declare variables, right? A type is activity main binding. I told you it will automatically create a class called of binding object, and that is what it's suggesting me to use activity main binding type. And that is automatically created the moment I'll use activity main binding, because my name was activity main.xml. So that's its binding object is activity main binding. The naming convention is like that. So it is automatically created, and I just have to use it, and it's of a late init type. So I'll initialize it now in my onCreate. Every code you start, it starts with onCreate. So before set content view line, set content view, what will done? It will set the layout of your application. I think it is already saying r.layout.activityMain, but we won't be using that. It's a traditional method. What we'll do is we'll first initialize the binding object. How we'll do it? Before it set content view, I'll go into a new line and I'll initialize it. Binding equals, and you go activity main. You will have three functions. We'll go to inflate, and then we'll just type in layout inflator. That's it. Now your binding is inflated. Like, your binding variable knows has all the elements that you have used in your XML file. And we'll also change this set content view to our binding.root file. That means the layouts root file. So now what this will do, now if I run my application, I'll start running it. What will happen is it will show me this page. The moment I open my application. But now nothing will happen as there is no functionality right now. So let the emulator begin. But until then, we can start writing our code. After you set the content, like to binding.root, you can start accessing these elements. Let me just say I want to add some, okay, wait, let it run. Let me just say that you want to add some functionality to our button, right? So how to do that? What you can do is you will tap on binding, and you will have a dot, and then you can see it is suggesting me two IDs, and it is already telling me it's a button type. One is a button type and one is a text view type. That is when the type safety comes in of view binding. Here what happens is, if I want to use the button, then I had given it an ID of btn tap me. So I'll use that. I'll use btn tap me. You can see the page starts showing up, but now we won't be using it, and nothing will happen if I tap on the button right now. What we'll do is binding.btn tap me, and let's say I want something to happen when I click on it. So we have a dot function for it, like dot set on. The moment you type it set on, the auto completion comes in, and Inside these parentheses, you can write the code. You can write the code for button tap. Here, what I'll do is I'll implement a toast function, toast message. In Kotlin, again, this is a normal comment. Like you just use 2 forward slashes and it's a comment line. So what you should do is for displaying a toast message, just see what I'm doing. Just follow along. You just type in capital T and toast, and you complete it. Toast dot. Just make text, and it will ask for 3 arguments. Like one is context, one is char sequence, and as another is the duration. So first, for the application context, we just have to type in application context, comma, the sequence that, let's just say I want a particular message to be shown. So I'll just say button tapped, and then I'll give it a duration. Duration, you give it by toast dot length short dot show function. This show function will be like, now this particular toast will start showing up. So now if I again run the application, you will see a toast message, and I'm sure the toast message is very familiar with you guys. Like now everyone can run the application till now, because now after this toast message, we'll be learning how to add another screen, another activity or screen onto our application. Now, as you can see, if I tap the button, what will happen is a button tapped message is shown in bottom, and it will again go back after a short duration because I've set it to length short. And that is exactly a toast message. This is how a toast message works. This is how a toast message works in Android. Like, I'm sure you must have already all seen this at some point in an application. So this is useful for debugging or letting the user know if something is wrong. A toast message can have various functionalities. Now you know how to. Now, if I set on-click listener function, that on-click listener function is what will be called every time you tap on the button, and all of these functionalities goes in the on-create part of our application. Now, let me say that I want to add another screen. Like the next part, the last part is adding intent and using another screen. What first I need to do is create another screen. To create another screen, what I'll do is go into my Java folder, into my package name, and here I see main activity. We only have one activity. To add another activity, you right-click, new. You have an activity section, and then again, I'll use an empty activity. An empty activity, I'll give it a layout of page 2, or better, second page, and finish. Now you can see a new activity is created called as second page.kt file, and its corresponding XML file is also generated, like activity second page.xml, and it's added here. It's main activity, and then I have my second page. Now, suppose I want to go to the second page. For now, second page has no element. If I can split it, you can see it only has a constant layout, but inside it has nothing. It's a blank screen for now. Now, again, I'll just add a text view to it. Like I'll quickly add a text view. I'll use the same text view for what I used here. I'll just copy this code and put it here. Now what you can see is page 1 is displayed here, but I need to change some aspects of this. Like let me say I want to change, first of all, I want to change the text part. Like from page 1, it will go to page, it will display as page 2. Again, I'll add the string resource. And I also have to change its ID. It's not TV page 1. Instead of, I'll put it as TV page 2. And now we have something called as second page. And this will be the layout just for understanding purposes. Now, if I want to go to this page, I'll have to use something called as an intent, and I'll also add a button that upon clicking on it, I'll go to the second page. It's that, like, I'll drag in a button. I'll give it constraints. Like, I'll put it below the tap me button and give it starting and ending constraints. Done. I'll change its text from button to go to page 2. And also we can also change the background, the color of an puzzle for better visualization. I'll just enter another attribute called as background tint. So I'll just start background and it will automatically start completing my code. So background tint, and I'll give it a color of, let's say, teal 700. You can see the color has changed. And now I'll just give it a top margin because it's packed with the tap me button. I'll give it a top again. To give it a top margin, instead in the attribute panel, I'll just tap top, start writing top, and you can see it's giving me some suggestions. Like, I have layout margin top, I have padding top. I'll use margin top, and I'll again give it like 16 dp. All right. Now it looks a little better. Again, I'll also change the ID of it. Like, I'll change it to BTN page 2. Like, this button will say to go to page 2. That's it. I change into my, and now I want that if I tap on this button, my second page should open up. So to do that, I'll go into my main activity.kotlin file. And for my second button, I'll set the on click listener. And to do that, I'll have to refer to it from the binding object. And now you can see my BTN page 2 starts appearing here. That is how easy it is to use view binding. You don't have to add any extra code. You don't have to manually add that I have added a button. And you have some function called set on log click listener. And now it's where I'll use intent. Like, this will be a type of explicit intent. To do this, first we'll have to select a type of intent that we want. It will be a val type. I'll give it a name of intent. And you apply an intent for something like this. Like, you create an intent. It's showing red because I have to import that class. To import it, click on import. And then from here, I want to say it from which activity to which activity it wants to go. Like, for explicit intent, I have to specify the destination. So from this, that is this current page, to my, I have it named as second page. So I'll type in second page. And the syntax goes something like this, like class.java. So now, whenever this intent will navigate me from this particular page to second page, that is the page I just created. And to go to it, and the function is start activity. So I'll just use start activity, and I'll pass my intent. That's it. That's all you need to do to make your application go from one page to another. So now if I again run the app, you will see that the new button will be added, and on clicking it, the second page will open. And that is how that is like how the first page will go into the background, and the second page will come over it. Like, it will be on top of the activity stack. So if I press on go to page 2, you see, I'm right now in page 2 of my application. Like, right now, this code is getting, the second page is on create function got executed, and this page is now shown to me. And here, if I want to add some functionalities, I can do them. Like, let's just say in here, the last thing we will do for today That's why I'm showing you the layout, the coding part of this XML. Which you can use to implement animations even in a very easier way. Like you can let them know which animation to use in this action. We'll learn it in the future sessions. I'll just still you can see that this button is showing me an error. Like there's a red line here. It is saying that the view top part. I'll concentrate to the bottom. Will go down. And now to bring it a little up, what I'll do is I'll use a bottom margin attribute, like bottom margin, and I'll give it a value of 200 dp. Let's say 200 dp. Done. I'll also change its ID to BTN. Let's say I want to open a website. I'll name it BTN website, and I'll give it a text. Like the text is already there, but I'll change it from button to let's say I'll open. Should go to open Instagram, like open my browser and go into Instagram.com. So how we'll do that? So we'll use an implicit intent for it. I'll go into my second page Kotlin file. Again, here you can see the binding object is created, but it's not been used. First of all, I'll implement that binding object for this particular file. Again, private, late init. I'll again name it binding. And now you can see it's automatically suggests me I have two binding objects, activity main and activity second page. For now, I'll use activity second page. Then again, initialize it before the set content view part. Inflate with my layout inflator. And replace this r.layout.activity second page with my binding.root object. Done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is the difference between which the default there is a binding, and I have tried in the Dice app it worked, but you are telling it to bind in different. What's the difference?
Binding? I didn't get your question.
No. Yeah, when I created the Dice app, I didn't did what you are doing like binding now. I just made the default like set content view r.layout.activity main, and it worked.
Right. It will work for now, but again, I said you have to manually use it. But if right now I have just a button in my layout. If I have some, let's say, more items, you'll have to manually add them. If for each and every button you add, you'll have to write a particular code like find view by ID. Then you'll have to do stuff like that, which is just very redundant. And if you forget to initialize it, then it will be a null value. And you will be trying to access it in some other place, but it will show you error and the application will crash. For now, it will work, but for some production level applications, always use view binding.
Yeah, find view by ID method. I use that. Yeah, I got it.
It's a very redundant thing. So
in every new project, we have to define the binding view.
Yeah, in every view, you will first have to access it, and then I have one button, right? It's BTN website. To access it, I'll simply use binding .btn website .set. Also, instead of on-click listener, we have something called as a long-click listener. Instead, you want to like tap and hold it. So what would happen then? You also have that functionality. Okay. I'll just do it quickly because the time is running out. So we have something called a set in. Now what should happen when I click on set on-click listener for my BTN website? It will be implicit intent. And what it should do is first I'll set my URL. So I'll just simply add a URL for Instagram. You can use it for anything, like anything you want. If you want to test it out, it's no issue. And then I'll create my intent. Once I have my URL, well, let me name it website intent. Okay. And now I'll again use that intent property, and inside that, remember last time what I did was I transformed it from this to main activity to second page, right? Here. I use this thing. So what this suggests that it is an explicit intent. But for implicit intent, we don't have a destination. What we'll do here is we will just specify the action it needs to do, the action which it needs to complete. So how we will do that? We'll again type in intent. And then you can see we have some, if after the dot operator, we have some particular actions. You can see there are tons of action, like we have action view, dial, call, send. Whenever you tap on a send, on a share button on your phone, like suppose you are viewing a photo from a gallery and you're tapping on the share button, a share menu comes up, right? Like to choose which app you want to share it on. That is used using this action send intent. Suppose you want to call, like there's a call button on the when you book a ride or a Uber or Ola. So it's used from the action dial or call. And suppose you want to view a website, so we'll use this action view. We'll use this, and in the next line, we'll set a URI. We'll have to send some data with it with this intent, right? The URL. So how you'll do is you give it a URI equals to URI dot pass, and inside this pass, you'll pass your URL, which should be a string type. And after you do this, you just set the type of this intent, like the type of this website intent you just created. So website intent dot data, like passing the data, right? So data equals to this URI that you just created. So for this intent data, you use this URI value, and that URI has our URL. For different intents, it will be a different type of code. Like, but you can always get it from documentations. Like there are tons of documentations from the official document. You'll get what intents, how different intents can be used for your particular functions. And now again, after I have set my data, I just have to start activity and then pass my website intent. Done. So now if I run the app again, what this should do is it will open Instagram from my browser. Like my phone has only one browser now, that is Chrome. So in my emulator, there is only a browser. First, I'll go to page 2. And here, if I tap on open Instagram, you can see it jumped from one application to another, a part of intent that I just showed you. And it opened Instagram.com. If you have many browsers, then it will ask you first, which browser do you want to use? And then it will start in that browser. So this is how you use an intent. Also, suppose you want to pass data from one page to another. Like from my main activity, I want to pass some data along with the intent. So you can easily do it. Like we had intent here, this second page class.java. With this intent, like this is some extra thing. Like we can put extra values. Like you can see it acts like a key value pair. You put a value here and you send it, and in the second page you can extract the value right here. You can always learn this in your the developer course that you are currently doing. You will be teaching. You will be learning more than this. So the last part of today is done, and for now, I'll just show you for activity lifecycle. Like we had on create, right? How you will invoke the other functions like the on start, resume, destroy. How you do this? What you can do is you can just start. First of all, you can just start on writing like on. Let's say I want to give it on restart. So if I just tap on here, you can see that auto completion is giving me a suggestion. I'll just tap it and you can see I'm overriding the on restart function right now. So right now, if I restart my application, if I go back, if I restart this thing, then this function will be executed. Similarly, you have all the other function like on start, you have on resume. Everything is there. If you want to just override them, you can do it. All right. So the last thing is one person asked how to put a splash screen, right? So I'll tell you in the last. So if you go into the manifest file, you will see that first we had one activity. We had this thing only. But now we have a second activity too. That is the second page that we just created. The manifest is updated as we update our project. So here you can see this part is what defines our launcher file. This intent filter, whatever inside. Let's suppose, let me just cut this code here. I'll just cut it from here. I'll give it an ending tag. Okay, inside, I'll put that code inside the second page. Now what will happen is if I run my application, this is just for like example. If I run this application here, suppose this second page was your splash page. So what will happen is now whenever my application will run, it will start from the second page. So you can see my application starts from the second page right now. So this is some advanced thing, and you will learn how to do this once. And suppose you're using a splash activity, what you can do is start with the splash activity and then give it a timer, let's say 3 seconds. And then using an explicit intent, navigate to your main activity, to your home page. You can do it like that. So with this, we are done with the live demo part. I hope everything is clear. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me right now. Because at last, I'll be sharing with you a link and I'll be asking you to share your developer profiles after this session. So if you have any doubts, please feel free to ask me right now.
Which pathways will you be completing after this session?
Which?
Pathways in the course.
For now, it will remain the same because I'll be sending the link for sharing the developer profiles. So for now, it will remain the same for everyone till unit 2, pathway 1 and 2. You will need to finish up till that.
So I have a simple doubt out of the box.
Yeah.
That what hardware do you use? That Kit one, Kit laptop.
What?
Or else what
Yeah,
hardware
I'm using
do you use
Kit laptop right now. Yes, I'm using Kit laptop
Okay.
right now.
i7. Is that i7?
Is that?
Processor. i7 processor.
It's i5
Processor.
8th gen.
All right. So
Alright.
I think Ryzen will work. Ryzen 7.
It will work. Your first year student will work. Okay. So for now, again, it's the same for you, like unit 1 complete and unit 2 pathway 1 and 2. And the next session again will be day after tomorrow. And I'll be taking that session. And then we will be learning a very important part, something called as a recycler view. It is one of the advanced topics, and it is mostly used in all major applications like the WhatsApp. It's exactly like a scroll list, like the thing you scroll on Instagram. Anything that you scroll is a part of a recycler view, and it's a very tricky thing to use. So I would suggest to pay attention to it, and everyone be present on 17th December. And after this session, this is the link. I'll be sharing with you the link in the chat box also. Complete unit 1 and unit 2 pathway 1 and 2. And the last date to submit these would be on 20th December. And I'll share the link right now.
We also do share it in the Discord. It will be easier if you does it.
Yes, we will definitely be sharing that along with the recordings and all the mm, video recordings, also with the PPT. I'll be sharing them soon once it's uploaded.
Will you be getting a mail for this, or we have to save this link right now?
The link I have first of all shared in the chat box, in the Google Meet chat box. You can take it from there. You can save it. Also, the link will be there in the Discord ASJ announcement channel. So you can pick it up from there. But the last date to submit the badges would be on 20th. On 20th, the response, I'll close the response, and on 20th we'll have another session, and that would be on some important component part of Android, like you'll learn some advanced stuff. And after that session, we will be exactly halfway through our event, and I will be sharing with you another link on 20th, and then you will have to submit the badges corresponding to what has the up till the halfway point. So that I guess that would be Unit 3. But for now, you just need to complete Unit 2, Pathway 1 and Pathway 2.
We have just a simple question. We have to give a exam after that Associate Android Developer exam. I know it's optional, but have we appeared that exam?
No, you don't have to appear that exam, but if you do and you pass, then you'll get a reimbursement of like 80% of $120. So that's a huge thing.
Have you appeared the test?
Not yet.
Okay.
But
Yeah, I have
I
a question. For the profile, can we use that short version g.dev/our username?
you just to get the profile link, what you can do is you go into the profile, and there you will have under your name you'll have a button to copy your link, right? You can definitely paste the short link, but it should work provided.
Yeah,
And
it's
make
working.
sure that your developer profile is public so that we can see it and track it accordingly. It should not be private.
Yeah, sure.
And after 20th, we will give you some time, and we'll also make announcement for the app. We'll make further announcement, like some special announcement will be there on 20th. And after that, you will be getting about a week before your next session. So 2 more sessions, and then you will getting a break, and you will be getting some time to create some ideas and start collecting your badges. So for now, I would say complete till Unit 2, Pathway 1 and Pathway 2. Also, regarding the mail, I don't think you will be receiving any more mails for further sessions. So keep an eye on Discord, and we will be updating everything about ASJ there. If you have any further questions, you can ask, or you can leave this session. We are done for today.
Bhaiya, when will you upload this video? I was disconnected in middle.
Yeah, the sooner we get the video from Google, and then we'll share it. Like after the editing is done and it's uploaded, we'll share the link.
Okay.
Actually, the break is in the perfect time we wanted it.
I wanted it.
Means in the mid-sem the break is there, so it is like good thing for us.
Yeah, it's a good thing. So if we are done, then I can stop the meeting for today.
Thank you, Bhaiya.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.